It's called a SIRT pistol, S-I-R-T.
Okay.
It's a trainer pistol.
Okay.
It's a fake gun.
Oh, okay.
Okay, normally it would emit a laser, but I need to repair it. But this is a fake gun. For sake of training purposes, I always ask permission. Does anybody feel uncomfortable with this being pointed at them?
No.
It is a fake gun, so the reason why it's important and why I'm asking is I just want you guys to see all the angles of what we're doing, okay? So, grip. There are many different methodologies or styles to grip. I will have you guys do a drill here shortly where you're going to figure out what grip you like. I'm not going to tell you what grip to use, but you're going to find your own grip. But there are some tips that you should at least adhere to when you establish a grip. One of them is making sure that you're behind the gun. So the best way that we could be behind the gun is by the pistol grip. So you want to be high and tight like that, and you want to make sure that your hand, your strong hand, is basically covering the meat of that back of that gun. Why don't we want to shoot like this without in the back?
You don't have control.
No control.
Hard, no control. Why? Because what happens when the slide moves, activates, it recoils, right? It's moving. So you always want to be high and tight in the back. Why don't we want to be down here too?
The recoil.
Less control, right?
Yeah.
It's your gun's coming up, so the higher I'm up, the more I'm able to put more leverage against that natural motion or lateral point of resistance. The gun's gonna always want to go to the path of least resistance, right? So you want high and tight. Now this is where the variations occur. Everybody agrees that you need to be in the back strap high and tight. What people debate is how do you use your support hand to establish your master grip. Okay, what I like to do and what we're gonna do is there's a couple of grip pressures you want to be considerate of. One is your grip pressure of handling the gun, right? So I'm squeezing it pretty decently. You don't want to squeeze too hard. You see my pinky or my fingers are filling up with blood. The reason why you don't want to squeeze too hard is because now I'm losing dexterity on my trigger finger. You guys see that? So I want to back off just enough so I can hold it, but I can still have free flowing motion of my fingers so I have good dexterity. Why do we want to have that? It's our trigger finger.
Yeah, so we want to squeeze slowly.
Not necessarily, but because usually, so first, before we go any further, what is performance shooting? Do we want to shoot slow but accurate, or do we want to be shooting fast and not accurate? Or do we want to be shooting fast and accurate?
Fast and accurate.
Wow, yeah.
So if I don't have good dexterity in my trigger finger, what am I not going to be able to do?
Accuracy.
Not necessarily. But what other element do we talk about?
Slower if you don't.
I'll be slower, right? Because if I have more dexterity, my finger, my reset, and my trigger is going to be more rigid, so I won't be able to squeeze faster. Okay. So that's why we want to have a nice, good, strong hand, not squeezing too tight, so we can keep that our trigger finger free from movement. Okay. Now with the support hand, you could lock the wrist. The reason why locking the wrist is a good idea. Can you use an example real quickly? So with the gun out, lock your wrist forward, or don't lock your wrist first. Just keep it loose, and you grab the gun. Okay. Now his wrists aren't locked, right? So watch what happens when he shoots. See what happens? Now take this off. I want you to lock this wrist forward. Bring this in, lock this wrist forward, introduce it. Now watch. See the difference?
Yeah.
That's one point of leverage, is your wrist being locked, because once again the pistol is going to, or the action is going to want to go to the path of least resistance. As soon as it feels that, it's going to revert back to its disposition.
Okay.
Center line. Okay. Now, so you have your wrist locked. What else you got to be mindful of is your actual grip pressure, because just because I have my wrists locked, my wrists are locked, I'm still going to come up. So if I have a good grip pressure, it's going to prevent the recoil from coming up much more. Okay, so you remember, everything's a supplement to aid you in becoming a better shooter. So grip pressures, remember how I showed you guys how I was really squeezing hard right here? I'm going to back it off. Now I'm going to take this hand, introduce it to my hand. I'm marrying it up with my fingers on the side. Now, see how much pressure I have on my, see the indent I'm making? And I'm putting pressure right here, everywhere. So now I'm squeezing like this, okay? And I have my wrist locked. So now it's acting like a vice and holding that pistol super tight. So that way when it does recoil, the only thing that's occurring is that the slide's going back and coming forward. There's no muzzle flip, no muzzle rise, there's no deviation left or right. That does occur sometimes when we go to squeeze a trigger. People will pull left and right. I think, Dad, you've had that problem a couple times. That's because of a bad grip. If I'm fully presented, watch what happens to the gun. Okay, I'm aligned, everything's perfect, got a nice side alignment, got a nice stance. I go to squeeze the trigger. What happened to the gun as I put pressure on the gun?
Moving.
It's moving, right? So you establish your master grip out here, now watch the gun. Is it moving?
No.
Right, so that's where the grip is really important. Is we could be accurate if we're just shooting one shot, but you need to have a good grip to shoot multiple shots and remain accurate. Does that make sense? Okay, anybody have questions on grip? How about stance? Okay.